welcome back to my author commentary for A Prince of Song and Shade. Today we're up to chapter 8. It's quite a short chapter, and so is chapter 9 after it, so I'm going to combine them both together. They're both quite short chapters because they essentially set up Talyn and the Shadowhawk, who's the point of view protagonist for chapter 9, like linking where they're at now to where the book is going to go from here. So just some short chapters in there is kind of featuring as connecting chapters in many ways. The first, Talyn has made her decision. She's going to go back to Mithraena, but she's not going to rejoin the Callinan. She's not going to go there as a Callinan. She's going to go and formally enlist with the Wolves. She is going to become a Mithraenan Wingguard officer, so that she can do what the Callinan want. So she intends to absolutely go and investigate vengeance to make sure that they're not posing a threat to the Twin Thrones. That is her ultimate mission. But at the same time, it allows her to go back to her wolves, which is what deep down she's been wanting ever since she left Mithraena. And Sari kind of questions her a little bit on that in terms of how much is this decision about undertaking a mission on behalf of the Twin Thrones and how much of this is about just wanting to go back and be one of the wolves. Talyn says, of course, it's about a mission, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. And those two desires, I think, are very closely intertwined for Talyn. They probably can't be separated in many ways. She has a great conversation with Master Raynar Fane, who was the master that trained her and Sari when they were Callinan apprentices, where she essentially strong-arms him into going along with her plan. Although the fact that he concedes to it, and without kind of reference to the First Blade, Sheer Thorniel, is an indication of how seriously the Callinan are taking this mission, how seriously they're worried about vengeance, which confuses Talyn to some degree, particularly as the events of this book goes on and she can't quite see what that importance is. But as we know, as readers who have potentially read later books in this series, the Callinan feel that the vengeance is connected to a potential invasion plot from Montan. And that is because that story is being fed to them through Sarvan, acting on behalf of Tarkos and Azralan, who have this little plan going where Azralan gets the thrones of Montana, Mithraena, and Tarkos gets Firthland back and then subjugates the Twin Thrones. But we're a little way away from that. This is the early indications of that plot. So Master Fane agrees to Talyn's terms. She tells him she'll go back to Mithraena, join the Wingguard, and undertake their mission. And as she finalizes all of that through him, thinks about all the different dangers that are involved, all the secrets she's keeping, all the secrets people are keeping from each other, rather than unease or fear as she might have felt 12 months earlier when first going to Mithraena, she feels a thrill of excitement, which is who Talyn is, who she always was, and who she's starting to rediscover in herself. And that night, after making that decision, for the first time, I think, since it would have been Sari's death, she actually goes out with her friends, old friends that she used to work with in the Callinan, and has a good time. She essentially goes out to drink and have a party and have a good time and allow herself to do that, which is new, which is also wonderful. We then switch to the Shadowhawks chapter in Shadow 9. In Shadowhawks chapter 9, which is a pretty short one. He starts the chapter off observing that his new plan, the one that he and Petro came up with, to have food volunteered and donated for those coming out from the Azurdia work details every day. That plan is working to perfection. He watches the men and women come up from the tunnel exhausted, hurt in many cases, and weary and hungry, and there's boxes of food lined up for them so they can have at least a hearty meal, and it's a little thing that he's been able to do for once. He's had a win, and that feels pretty good for him. He then goes back to his apartment where he has a scheduled meeting with Navis. He wants Navis to investigate vengeance, which is deliciously ironic because Navis is Sarvan. Sarvan is pulling the strings of vengeance, and he's not going to do anything of the sort. He doesn't want the Shadowhawk anywhere near vengeance. But, of course, poor Kieran doesn't understand that. The Shadowhawk, while he's always sensed there's something not right there with Navis, Navis has been useful, and he needs Navis's information, so he continues to rely on him in that way, which, unfortunately, not a great thing. So yeah, those two chapters, we start to bridge Talyn going back to Mithraena, where the story will really kick into gear, and we just get some insight into the Shadowhawk's activities and the Shadowhawk's life, what he's up to and how he's trying to drive things forward while Talyn's away, that she's very soon going to be back, and that will change things up once again in a really fun way. I can't wait for that. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. As always, if you have any questions at all about this chapter, chapters 8 or 9, or any other chapters, drop it in the comments below. I'll answer it in the next video. Please also consider liking and subscribing on your way out. That really does help me a lot. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in chapter 10. Bye.